Hi, I'm Susan. Welcome to my home and studio at Windy Acre Cottage. It's a 100-year-old craftsman cottage where I love to paint and garden and entertain and care for all my wonderful fur babies, both those that are adopted and all the little fosters. It's also my home base for many fun adventures of the art, history, and gardening kind. Welcome! Today we are touring Rippavilla, and I love this old home. It was built in 1855 by Nathaniel and his wife Susan McKissack Cheairs. And here we are on the north side in the kitchen garden. And I think I just pointed out a sugar kettle, which would have been used on any plantation in the South to make sugar out of sugar cane, or to cook or wash clothes or whatever you might need a big kettle for over a fire. We're going to go through the garden gate into the north lawn, which is the carriage entrance into Rippavilla. You may have seen as we were walking toward there, you could see the Spring Hill battlefield off in the distance. This is the front of Rippavilla on the west side. I was on the board for 8 years and love this old home, but honestly, I don't know the details of the columns or any of that. I can tell you about the shutters. We had a dickens of a time getting those restored and replaced. But you'll just have to come for a tour. Now we're walking around to the south side of the lawn and look back on the portico. And then you can see the addition that was added in the 1920s by John Whitfield. He bought the house in 1920 for $200,000. He was from Alabama. And if you come tour the house, you will notice that the 1920 addition here on the side is interpreted in accents and antiques and whatnots from the 1920s. We're gonna, beautiful magnolia tree. We're gonna go through the garden gate here on the south side of the lawn. And we're entering into the back of Rippavilla. You'll see the old barn with the Amish quilt design, as well as a gazebo. There's an old well house or Springs house down there. And I love teaching in that lawn. That gazebo makes a great place to teach. I should have taken you through the courtyard, but instead we're going through the caterer's kitchen and a back hallway into the dining room. And it's actually I'm not sure what this room is called, but it's where the food was kept warm until it was served. That's the old Paris china. You'll see on the dining room table oranges and celery on display. That was a status symbol in the 19th century. Here's a 1925 Edison phonograph, as well as all the other items in the 1920s edition, including a photo, beautiful photo of the Whitfields. Here's a better picture of it. He sold it in 1925 to Mr. Fuston. Here is the front parlor, also the ladies' parlor. And here, I believe we were upstairs already. Yeah, I should have taken you up the steps, but here's the picture from the 19th century. And we're entering the children's room, which is one of my favorite rooms in the house, with the dolls and the doll furniture. At some point in the 20th century, these rooms were cut through and a bathroom was added. and that's closed off. This would be the master bedroom here. And when you visit Rippavilla, you're going to learn so much. Everything in this room has a story. Entering over into this parlor, you may see the General John Bell Hood bed, which is on loan from Blair Scoville Morgan. It originally came from the Oaklawn estate, which is backs up to Rippavilla and has deep ties with the Civil War, the Battle of Franklin, and more information that I can share here. But also, the dollhouse is in this room, which is one of my favorite things to play with, and it is a replica of the McKissack's home, that's Susan McKissack Cheairs' parents' home, which is further up in downtown Spring Hill. This room right here is interpreted as the museum, and it changes out regularly with the exhibits that are in here, and right now it looks like it's interpreted with Civil War artifacts. And then around in this other room, this pink room, is the room that belonged to Ruby Davis. And she purchased Rippavilla in 1959. And this was her bedroom. And she was one of the most prolific bootleggers in all the county. And Murray County happened to be a dry county, but she said they vote dry, but they drink wet. And I will put a link to the press release on everything that's in this room, but it's interpreted in late 1950s as when she lived here. And Scott Smith, the executive director of Rippavilla, was able to contact her granddaughter and get many items that belong to Ruby to put on display here. So we're really excited that Rippavilla is interpreting all the stories they can verify from numerous decades and numerous centuries. So it's not just a Civil War battlefield home. Although that's a huge part of its history, it also has equally fascinating and colorful characters that have called Rippavilla home over the past couple of hundred years. Down these beautiful steps, we will go to the north side of the building into the gentleman's parlor. And this room has been interpreted as the gentleman's parlor, and you will find many artifacts and whatnot sitting around that would be very indicative of where the men would retire after dinner to smoke their cigars and play games and read and talk. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bet or two, or even a few glasses of possibly whiskey shared.